This video is to show you how to create return authorization with CloudExtend Excel for NetSuite. To start this video off, I'm going to create a template for return authorization. You can select either the search and download or create new records. For the video, I'm going to select create new records, and it's going to lead you to a 3-step process. So the first step here, we're going to search for the return authorization record type. Select this. So I'm going to start by searching for some of the fields in the return authorization. So in this case, it's going to be created from as one of the examples. And the created from is actually a read-only field, but you can actually use CloudExtend to search for that particular sales order that you want to process a return authorization for. And for the rest of the fields, I'm going to add that onto the template. All right, so I've added all of the fields for the return authorization template. I'm going to click on Add Fields. And here you can see the fields I've added. So it's going to be created from, tran date, tran ID, priority, entity, subsidiary. And those are all of the fields within the header level of the return authorization. And then if I scroll down a little further, there's going to be the sublist or the item level fields. And that's going to be the order line, the quantity, and item. So once I've added all of the fields on the return authorization template, I can click on continue, click on yes. And if I want to save my template, I can click on save as template. Once you click on this, it's going to save it onto your CloudExtend session. And if I scroll down a little further, you can see that there's a share within an organization. I'm going to leave it unchecked or untoggled. And I'm just going to click on save and enter data. So once this template is saved, it's going to save onto your session. So if you log into another machine, you're going to have access to it once you've logged into CloudExtend. So when it comes to the layout of the template, you can see from column C to column H, those are going to be my fields within the header level. And then from column I to column L, those are going to be my fields within the sublist or the item level of the return authorization. So for demo purposes, I am going to add some of the data in here into the columns. And I'll explain to you what values I've added into the columns prior to me uploading it into NetSuite. All right, so I have some of the values I've added into the return authorization. So what I'm processing right now is going to be a return for some of these items for the sales orders. So in column C, you can see that I have the created from, and these are going to be the sales order that I want to process the return for. So there's going to be multiple sales orders that I'm going to be processing for. So the first one ending in 192, and then the following is going to be 193. So the system will recognize that I'm creating multiple return authorizations for these sales orders. And then if I go to the entity, the first couple of rows is going to be a particular customer, and then the following is going to be a different customer. And then the subsidiary should be Tesla East throughout all of the rows because it's going to be for a particular subsidiary. And then column J is important because the order line is actually the line ID of the sales order items in the sales order. So you need to have the sales order line ID numbers for the items to process the return authorization. And to do so, you can actually do a download of the sales order. So if I go back into this tab on the left right here, I have the sales order information plus all of the line ID information right here. And this information will allow me to process the return for all of these items when it comes to these sales orders. So now going back into the return authorization, I have the quantity in column K and then items right here for reference. So now that I have everything on the template, I'm going to go to upload to NetSuite and then go down to upload records. And if everything is successful in column B, you're going to see the internal ID return back in green. The transaction date and transaction ID and priority are all blank because those are all system generated within NetSuite. So I'm going to leave that blank. And once I have the internal ID return back, I'm going to use the refresh option to return the data into each of those columns. All right, so as you can see, it returned the internal ID for each of the return authorizations. If I scroll down, you can see that it's all green in the internal ID. And if I want to return the information right here in column D, E, and F, I'll just go to reload records, go down to reload records, and it's going to use those internal ID to return that information into those columns. So once I have that information returned, I'm going to use the transaction ID or the return authorization number to run a global search to search for that particular return authorization. So let me copy this and go into NetSuite to confirm that the upload was successful. And as you can see, it returns within the global search. I'm going to select it. All right, so you can see the customer information is correct and the transaction date has been populated for today's date. And the created from is that read only, but it's in reference to that sales order. So it knows that we're processing the return for that particular sales order. And if I scroll down a little further, all of the item information is right here. All of the information related to that sales order and the items going to be added into each of the sublist item fields. And if I want to take a look at the audit trail, I can go into system information, go to system notes, and under system notes, you're going to see the audit trail. It'll let you know who created the record, under what context. So in this case, it's going to be SOAP web services, and also what fields has been added or changed based off of the creation of the return authorization. If you need further support, please visit our support site at support.cloudextend.io.